Saul Niguez has agreed personal terms with Chelsea Football Club in their pursuit of the Spanish midfielder. Negotiations have been going on between the representatives of Saul Niguez and Chelsea intensely for a number of days now, and it's now been declared that personal terms will be no problem and or agreed. We all know it means exactly the same thing. Chelsea is still working on a deal with Atletico Madrid to get this over the line. A loan option is highly likely to be taken, with Chelsea negotiating an option to buy as opposed to an obligation to buy, as per the Football Terrace for the past 3 days. That news has now been corroborated and confirmed by some of the world's leading football journalists and transfer experts. Chelsea still leading this race, but do not rule Manchester United out. Yesterday, there was a lot of talk about no official bids and Man United not actually being in for the player. But revealed by Laurie Whitwell this morning, again, confirming exactly what I said yesterday. There's an anticipation amongst some insiders that Saul Niguez to Man United could develop quickly. It could develop quickly because Manchester United are pursuing this player. They are working hard on Saul Niguez, but they are behind Chelsea in the race. So the PR push is that there's no official bid, there's no official approach to save face should Chelsea win the battle for the midfielder. But real football fans, real people know the score. Man United are chasing him. Chelsea are chasing him. Liverpool tried to sign him. These are the pure fundamental facts. Put the prop aside, put the nonsense aside. There is a battle on here to bring Saul Niguez to the Premier League. We're also going to be touching on Kylian Mbappe and the transfer bid that has gone in for him from Real Madrid and the source that first broke it and why it is important not to disregard sources just because you don't like them. And on top of that, we're going to be delving into the Jules Kounde situation because that deal is closing in very, very fast. Smash that like button this morning for the Football Terrace. Smash the button if you're a Chelsea fan, if you're a Man United fan, if you're a neutral to these stories. You know what comes next, people. Let's do this. Morning. It's a day to maybe, actually, no, it's not a maybe. I think fans of football start getting excited now. I was on a space last night and we were very much talking about transfer news and what it means to people, the frustrations that come along with it. And I was very open. I love it. This is what I love. This here. Forget the prop. Forget the propaganda. Forget that there's been no official approach. Who cares about the official approach? Man United and Chelsea are having a slugfest to try and land Saul Niguez. It don't get much more exciting than this. One of the very best midfielders in the world, potentially joining one of the biggest two clubs in the world. This is the exciting bit. Who's going to get it done? Chelsea very open that they're in this race. Man United being a little bit more incognito, but he could end up at both football clubs. Chelsea leading that race. We're going to open the line soon for you to come on and have your say. What I was told last night is that personal terms have been agreed. Some are going to say personal terms are no problem. We kind of already know this. It was almost a bit of a prerequisite. It's a bit of a, well, of course that's true, Terry. Chelsea don't pursue players officially in this capacity without them already having agreed personal terms. The interesting news about Saul Niguez is, though, that he's open for joining both clubs. If Man United get the deal struck with Ati first, he'll become a Man United player. If Chelsea struck the deal first, he'll become a Chelsea player. There's a huge anticipation tonight, though, a very, very huge anticipation tonight that the situation for Saul Niguez could rest upon Monaco's qualification for the Champions League. That was put to us, of course, yesterday by the wonderful, by the brilliant Dean Jones. And that's a real big thing for football, for Chelsea fans and Man United fans alike, just to keep their eye out on. Too many could then be the approach should Monaco go out of the Champions League. But it's a very good deal that they're looking to do here. You know, there's going to be a very small loan fee for Chelsea and or Man United. On top of the very small loan fee, there will be a percentage of the wages covered, something along the lines of 50 to 60% of those wages being covered. So it's an exceedingly cheap deal for the quality of player that is coming in relation to Saul Niguez. There will not. It's very unlikely that there's going to be an obligation to buy. And as Matt Laura has confirmed this morning on a podcast, I'm not too sure which podcast it is. I've just seen lots of quotes. I think it might be the London is Blue podcast. What he has confirmed is that this is an option that Chelsea are exploring because it enables them to have a lot of options next year. It opens them up to being able to buy Declan Rice and move Saul away, Tchouaméni and move Saul away, maybe adding Saul and one of those players in. It's very much a try before you buy for a season. Very cheap in Premier League terms financially. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that works out. Comment here from Robbo says, makes me feel better that we didn't sign Erling Haaland with the news. I know we did everything we could. If he goes to a Premier League club might still hurt. We'll touch on Haaland a little bit later because the news about Haaland should resonate with everybody. Again, I'm not sitting here trying to say I told you so, but it appears very much to me my rationale as to why Chelsea maybe put a bid in but didn't go that full hog, that extra hog to get it done, was very much due to the wage demands. And not they can't afford those wages, but the knock-on effect. And we'll touch on that a little bit later on in the show. But please make sure that like button has been smashed this morning, ladies and gentlemen. As we say, the breaking news today, personal terms are no problem. Personal terms are agreed. Saul Niguez has said he would join Chelsea. A deal being worked on now between the two football clubs. But Manchester United in pursuit. Manchester United closely behind Chelsea. Don't let, and I mean this is Chelsea fans and Man United fans alike, don't let the no official approach impact you. As per Laurie Whitwell's words, this could escalate quickly on Man United side if they make it official. How would it be able to escalate quickly if there's no work being done behind the scenes? That would be simply impossible. If Chelsea win this race, they've beaten Man United to the player. It's as simple as that. United fans take it on the chin. Chelsea fans have a bit of a gloat. If it goes the other way, Man United have beaten them. It's as simple as that. That's the way it is. I think now what we've got to start doing on the football terrace is cutting through we've got to protect our club nonsense in transfers and actually just speak the cast iron truth. Here's what Laurie Whitwell had to say. As you can see here, there's an anticipation amongst some insiders that Saul Niguez to United could develop quickly, especially if Atletico Madrid are keen to get his wages off the books. And essentially what that means is Man United are working on that deal. It could escalate quickly because Ati are definitely eager to get rid of the player. But I think Chelsea are leading the race. And if Chelsea decide to not put this bid in for Tchouaméni, if the Tchouaméni situation dies out in the coming day or hours, Chelsea pursue and they get this deal done because they're leading. If it doesn't happen, Man United will make their approach maybe a bit more public. United fans have also got to be aware that if we do land Saul Niguez, it will be pushed out. Even if, look, whoever Saul Niguez goes to, the story will be from particular outlets that he was always a major target. The player always fancied to move to the club. There'll probably be a little bit of a comment about as a little boy, he watched Gianfranco Zola on TV, or he watched Dennis Irwin and he had a Dennis Irwin poster. We'll all get spun that nonsense. We'll all buy into it as fans because we love to hear it. But the truth is, Saul Niguez is up for joining whatever club, whatever kind of big club is willing to pay the best wages to him and give him the best squad status. And if that's Man United, he'll join Man United. If that's Chelsea, it'll be Chelsea. Right now, Chelsea are a bit more appeasing. European champions. Thomas Tuchel is their manager. Look at their squad. Look how they've started the campaign. They're willing to, they're doing that deal. They're ahead of the race right now, but it could change. It's as simple as that for me. Come on, Chelsea. How many central midfielders do you need is what David says here. They need what they need what they need. They need what they need there. A few people shouting out for Ronaldo news. We'll do a bit of a Ronaldo update later on as well. Don't you worry. Don't you worry at all. A comment here says Grimes also said Saul is closing in on Chelsea as United hasn't put in an official bid. And United won't put in an official bid. They'll put in offers through intermediaries, but there'll be no official approach from Man United while they're not in the race. PR, 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 PR. It's how it is. It's as simple as that. Chelsea would do the same thing. Every single club has done this. No official bids are made until ducks are in a row pretty much now. Very rarely. I mean, one club has done it twice this summer and made their bids public and then missed out on the players and they've been laughed at. And these clubs don't want to make that mistake. These clubs don't want to make that mistake. Surely Chelsea bound. Heard a bid has been accepted and personal terms now agreed. There's been no bid that's been accepted as of yet. There's been nothing announced yet that a bid has been accepted for Saul Niguez. They're working on the structure of the actual deal, as in loan fees, because obviously from Chelsea's point of view, they want an option to buy, but Chelsea are going to want a first refusal option with a set price, meaning no matter how well Saul Niguez does, that price can't escalate. And as long as they bid, say the price is 40 million, it's as long as they bid 40 million, no one else can get him, even if they bid 70, 80, 90. Chelsea are trying to negotiate that in. Ati is still pushing to get an obligation to buy into the clause. So there's still some details to iron out. Man United are working via intermediaries on exactly the same deal. Chelsea are leading the way right now. Saul Niguez is more favorable towards them. Point blank fact, don't care how much it hurts people, but things could change. Chelsea could go for another midfielder. Man United could suddenly today throw in a bigger and better offer. They say, actually, you know, we'll do the loan for a year. Atletico Madrid will pay full wages rather than 60%. I'm just throwing this out there as an example, and we'll put an obligation to buy in, or we'll do an option to buy, but we'll set the fee higher at 50 million, not 40 million. I'm just throwing these things out there. Suddenly, the world could change. But as it stands right now, all things being equal, Chelsea are leading Manchester United in this race, but things can change. Danny here says Saul doesn't seem to be the first choice for either United or Chelsea, so I doubt many fans will gloat anyway. He's a decent player. He's not first choice for either club. That's the other side that you've got to look at with Man United. The Camavinga deal would probably be our first choice this summer, seen as a medium to long-term option because of his age. Ruben Neves is the player that Man United want to look at. But the reason Saul Niguez has come up is you have to think these through logically. The reason that Saul Niguez has become an option is because, I'm just making a note here, sorry. The reason he's become an option is because Man United may not have the money to spend now on a player. They may not have the money. Man United and Chelsea's reasons for Saul Niguez on this loan deal is different from each other's, but serve the same purpose. Chelsea's is to keep things open, so next summer they can choose between Tchouaméni, Rice. They still have a Niguez option, should that be the only option out there for them. But from Man United's point of view, we may not sell the players on we want to sell. But if we're paying, say, 60% of Saul Niguez's wages and a small loan fee with a non-obligation to buy clause where we get first refusal, it means you can get that player in now and it isn't damaging the finances too much. So for me, it's just a case of people being understanding that Man United, and also Man United, not they're going to declare they're after him, because Man United could still end this window signing no more players. Because if we can't get the Saul Niguez deal done, it's highly unlikely we're buying anybody else without players leaving. And at the moment, no official bids and no major bids have come in for Lingard or Jones, or Matic, whoever it may be. So that's the position Man United find themselves in, no cap. We are going to go on to the other things you want to speak about. Jamie here says, my man Terry got the morning horn for Chelsea again. My word, my word, my word. Artem here says, maybe Chelsea waiting for Tchouaméni to finish his Champions League game today. Bro, that's exactly what Dean Jones said yesterday. It's exactly what Dean Jones says. I believe Dean Jones. I trust Dean Jones. Doesn't chat nonsense. You know, he just doesn't talk in bullet points, and it sometimes makes it harder to understand exactly what he's saying. You have to actually listen. There was a few times when some of the Chelsea aggregators that have been sharing our stuff this summer, big up Simon and CFC. I think it's pronounced Fires. I'm not actually sure how it's pronounced. And Absolute Chelsea Uber, all those guys that have been sharing our work. Thank you very, very much indeed to them. But like, I've shared videos with them of Dean, what he said, and they've at times they've gone, oh, there's nothing really in there. And then a few days goes by and a story breaks. And then we kind of go back to a clip where Dean kind of said it, but he just didn't say it in a kind of salesman type way. And very, very reliable indeed. Very, very reliable indeed. So thank you for that super chat here. If Monaco don't qualify for the group stages, they will be more willing to sell cheaper. Yeah, £25 million is the reported price. Saul on loan to United, a possibility? Absolutely a possibility. No doubt about that at all. Billy, my man. Now, let's talk about Jules Kounde. So the Jules Kounde situation is very, very intriguing to me. Official bid, I say official bid, official rebid for the player is expected today. Might be delayed, but is expected today, as the Zuma deal is expected to close out. Yesterday, there were reports that personal terms were like formally done. There's been a lot of kind of talk. There's been a lot of sort of suggestion that maybe that was a little bit premature from people. As far as I was made aware yesterday, that deal was about as imminent as it could be. It doesn't look like it's going to fall through. There's huge confidence within all camps that deal will get itself done and over the line. And as that gets into that home straight, it is highly anticipated that Chelsea then resubmit their official bid and move forward with Jules Kounde. The Jules Kounde deal should accelerate very, very quickly, very, very quickly indeed from that point, simply because all the personal terms and details and deals have been done. You'll probably see at some point today a lot of journalists come out with things like the deal is done. The deal's been done for a goddamn month. It just got delayed, and essentially, there's part of me that's a little bit gutted, really, as someone who's kind of moved into this field on a more professional capacity this year. I went a little bit too early with the Jules Kounde deal, and I should have stuck to my guns and just said, everything's agreed between Sevilla and Chelsea. The deal will happen, but the Zuma curveball has delayed it. But of course, I wanted to protect. I didn't want to be seen as. It's very easy to protect a done deal 7 weeks ago, and then when it happens, say, "See, I told you." And I just sometimes think that looks a little bit in the know and a little bit icky. So I wanted to be really open that I apologize. But even in my apology email for being a little bit ahead of the gun, still said there's a high chance the deal was going through because there was never really an issue between Sevilla, Chelsea, and Jules Kounde. It was always the balancing of the books and Zuma leaving. So that deal, that deal is just where it needs to be. That deal is going to get done. That deal is going to get over the line. Sunshine here says, I'd much prefer Neves from Wolves. Brother, I prefer Neves from Wolves over Saul Niguez right now with the situation we've got. There's one thing, though, that's in the back of my mind with Saul Niguez, and I thought about it last night. And it brings us on very, very nicely to the Kylian Mbappe situation. So Mbappe is expected to maybe not get his move, but his move could happen this summer. His move could happen this summer. 160 million euro bid was made yesterday. There's the anticipation that an even bigger bid is going to come in later. Personal terms are no problem for Kylian Mbappe. Like, he wants to go. He's had those conversations. They're pushing for the move. It was looked at as being Messi going to PSG is what was stopping Manchester United from being able to get and/or land. Sorry, PSG from being able to get or land Paul Pogba. If they get 160 million pounds in, and someone said to me the other day they don't need money. No, they don't per se, but they're literally up to their limit with FFP. If they sell Mbappe for 160 million pounds, the salary they're saving on Mbappe and then that 160 million quid, it gives them all they need to protect themselves against FFP and still to sign Paul Pogba. So Man United might also be waiting, and you're playing a risky game here because Chelsea are now in for Saul. But Man United might look at it and think, let's just give it a day or two to see what's happening with Paul Pogba, PSG, Mbappe. Because if Pogba goes, which is still a very slim chance, but still a possibility, you might find Man United go all in for Saul Niguez. What was spoken about all summer is that Saul Niguez was looked at as the main replacement for Paul Pogba if Paul Pogba left. Ruben Neves is a different type of midfielder, where if we were to sell a couple of players in the next few days, I think Ruben Neves would be the individual for around £40 million we would go for. If Paul Pogba leaves and Jesse Lingard goes, I wouldn't write off both coming in. Legitimately wouldn't write off both coming into the football club. It's very unlikely, but I don't think they're looked at as Saul or Ruben. I think it's looked at, we want Ruben for a holding role, but Saul Niguez could be a Pogba replacement element. That also might be why Man United are holding back from going official, because they may not actually want Saul Niguez if Paul Pogba stays. Maybe they're anticipating something because of Mbappe. These are all legitimate options and things that could be going on, but we will see. A lot of people want to talk about Haaland. A lot of people want to talk about this Saul Niguez deal. I'm going to share the link now for you to come on and have your say. Morning, Sunshine, by the way, mate. Always nice to see you in the chat, my friend. Get your super chat questions in as well. I'm going to share the link now for you to come on and have your say. I'm going to share it in the... First of all, I'm going to share it in 5 minutes. And I'm going to share it in 5 minutes. And I'm going to put it inside the notification group chat. So if you're not part of our notification group chat, I'm going to share that link first for you so that you can go and sign up to that. And then in 5 minutes, I'm sharing the link. So I've just posted in the comment section the link for our live notification feature. If you're already in the Telegram group, great. But get yourselves across and move forward. Patrick here says, City fans have nothing nice to say about other clubs. Let them crack on, mate. Let them crack on. Let them crack on. I wouldn't even let it sit in your mind. Sadhu, long time no speak, my friend. Morning, Terry. Day off today. After ages, I'm watching you live again. I was about to say, my brother, I haven't seen you in a while. Otherwise, I've been watching on replay. Yeah, it's never as good on replay, is it? It's never as good. You know what I mean? Listening to my wonderful voice live, it's like a privilege. I'm only joking. I'm only messing, but thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much indeed. You got 5 minutes until we share that link in the group chat, ladies and gentlemen. So go get yourself signed up to that now. Let's talk. I think we need to talk Haaland, actually. I do think we need to talk about Haaland. I think that's the big talking point because it relates to Chelsea, relates to Man United next summer. The Haaland talk certainly needs to happen after the big kind of revelation about his salary came out yesterday. Let's have a look into this. So it was revealed yesterday that Mino demanded a wage of 50 million euros a year from Chelsea this summer, in addition to 40 million agent fees. And for me, this explains and shows to all of us why Chelsea in the end walked away. And it very much feeds in to, and I'm sorry to say it like this, but I have to say it like this, exactly what I said could be the stumbling point, where Chelsea did offer a fairly decent, they did put in a fairly decent bid. Yes, the bid was placed via intermediary, so it wasn't official to see whether Dortmund would accept it. I think there was room to negotiate that 130 to 150 million pound bid. I do. But I think Chelsea now walked away from those negotiations because of an additional 90 million euro outlay year one. The outlay year one for Haaland of 90 million to the player and the agent was more than year one for buying the player. It would have been about 30 million pounds year one in transfer fee, because of course it was going to be paid in installments. 30 million to buy the player year one. 150-ish million pounds over 5 years, maybe 6 years, because the contract would have been quite long to buy the player. But it would have been 90 million euros year one, 90 million euros year one to sign the player and bring him to Chelsea, Football Club. Now, that's a hell of a lot of money. Legitimately a hell of a lot of money there. You are talking in pounds. I'm not too sure what that is in pounds. Let me go. What is that in pounds here? Let me just work this out. Let's just work what that is. That's like 77 million pounds. Okay. That's 77 million pounds year one. As an example. Okay. It would have been a 6-year deal. So you have to commit to this for a 6-year period. You're then talking 50 million a year, which is euros, which is 42 million pound per season after that in salary. Okay. So you suddenly start to look at that and you start to break that down. You look at what's been said here. You start to break that down. You start to delve into it in a lot more detail. And that's 42 million pounds per year. Okay. Take out the first year cost by 5 years, by an additional 5 years. That's 210 million. You plus the 77 million pounds for the year one cost on the player. You then add in the 150 million pounds to buy the player over that period. On the first contract of Haaland, it would have been a £437 million investment plus bonuses. So when he's scoring them goals, winning those competitions, you may be looking at an additional £25 million in bonuses in that time period as a bare minimum. You are pushing towards that £500 million mark. And as I said all the way back when it came to this deal, Chelsea had to think about the longer term implications of this deal. How much he costs on an ongoing basis, how much he would cost on on the wage structure, because remember, net spend isn't real. Net spend would have you believe that it only costs £150 million. And if they sold 20, 30 players, look, we sold 20 players. Look, we sold £150 million of our players and we bought him. Net spend zero. No, because suddenly his wage bill would have been more than all those other players put together that you're selling, pretty much, right? So you're not really saving anything. But it isn't even those costs. Chelsea probably could have done it. They probably could have worked it out where actually, if we sell these 7 or 8 players, get rid of their wages and invest it in one player, we can do it. But then you're really shrinking the squad. But it was the knock-on effects that was more important than the £460+ million 5 to 6 year investment in Haaland. It's what's Kai Havertz? What a Mason Mount? What's Jorginho? What's Mendy? What's Reece James? Jules Kounde is about to come in. What's he going to ask for when it comes to those contract renewals in 1, 2, 3 years' time? What are those players going to be demanding when they see Haaland on 42, 43, 44 million pounds per year? And if they're delivering in their role, they're going to be demanding those kind of hikes. Suddenly, Chelsea would find themselves in a situation where it would become impossible, absolutely impossible, for them to be able to get that deal done. To maintain that level of spending. We shared the link, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in the group chat. So if you want to go take that link and call in, please feel free to do so. But the Haaland deal, Chelsea were absolutely right in every single which way possible to walk away. Absolutely right to walk away from that deal. Spot on to walk away from that deal. Absolutely spot on. You can't be doing it. You can't be doing it. And Bayern Munich won't pay him that amount of money. Real Madrid might. No one in England's paying that money. I don't even think Man United are going to pay that money for him. Legitimately, I don't even see Manchester United paying him that kind of money. Leaf here says, these are the deals that break the wage and transfer structures in the world, just like the Neymar one, but this time on a much bigger scale. Yeah, and you know what it is? It's the structures get broke, and it just becomes very difficult to manage. The only way those kind of deals are manageable is if you're coupling them with brand new sponsorship deals. And that's what would have been required, is new sponsorships and new investments in that way. That's the only way that would have been doable and manageable for Chelsea Football Club. They would have had to have increased. I mean, you would have probably seen that. I mean, their wage bill, it wouldn't have increased dramatically. It's not here. None of it is even year one costs, because you were selling a lot of players. You would have balanced the books, but it's the knock-on effects of that. And I always knew that would be the stumbling block for Chelsea in this situation, and rightfully so indeed. We're going to start going to your calls now, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that like button has been smashed this morning. Big race in the transfer market between Manchester United and Chelsea for the pursuit of Saul Niguez. I want your views. I want your opinions. Where do you think he's going to go? Will Man United come in with a bid? Are there going to be any more signings at Old Trafford? Chelsea foot fans, how are you actually feeling? How are you feeling about the business that you're doing now? We heard from some of you last night and everything else. What I really love is the negativity from Man United fans on social today. No, definitely not happening. Definitely not happening. Nothing's going to move anywhere. I don't get why people write things off so quick, so easy. But there we go. Comment here from Scott that says, these are the deals that leave you with a Barcelona mess. Scott, you could be, and you probably are, absolutely spot on there, my friend. Spot on there, my friend. Right, let's go to our first caller. Pav is going to be on the line with us now. Smash that like and share button. Come and have your say. The link's been shared. Let's do this. Morning, Pav. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind, mate?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to go to sleep, and I'll see you on doing a stream, so I thought I'll come on and have a say.
Yeah.
Um, this whole midfield stuff with Man United, I'm seeing a lot of reports this morning saying that we don't have the money, or we can't afford to take on wages or something like that. Which I understand. We've got a big squad, and we aren't really unloading any players. Like you look at Chelsea, all their deadwood are pretty much gone. And we've really only unloaded Andres Pereira. And we still got our pants pulled down on that deal over $1 million. They literally, for who was it, whatever that Brazilian club was, didn't even pay a loan fee. And, and they put a clause in that they might want to buy him for 16 mil next year. They ain't paying 16 mil next year. We just got finessed over $1 million by them. Um, but Saul Niguez, like I see someone in the chat put um it's not going to do anything. It's actually going to probably cause a headache than actually fix a problem because, like, from what I see, Saul Niguez, he's more of a box to box, isn't he? And a lot of the fans are demanding a DM. So when you've got players like Donny van de Beek who can't get into the starting 11, and you're bringing in Saul Niguez who hasn't really performed in like a year to 18 months, like what's it actually bringing to us? Like, do we really need someone again, or do we need to be looking at someone else? But like I said, a lot of reports, a lot of journalists are saying that we don't have the funds for it. Hence why I can understand why they haven't bid for Camavinga. Even with
Yeah.
that Camavinga, um,
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, even with Camavinga, you look at him and there's been reports saying that he wants to go to Spain or PSG. Like we could have Camavinga for the first couple of years, 2-3 years down the line after paying for us. He might want to say, right, I want to go to Madrid. Is it even worth bringing a player like that into the club? Like I don't know. Like I'm 90% in my opinion that we're not going to bring anyone else in. I think our business is done. I'll be really surprised if we do bring someone in, but yeah, it's just like I don't know if Saul Niguez is the right thing for us. You would think the
Yeah.
Glazers.
So, Pav, what I would say, mate, is it is likely there is a big chance that we won't bring anybody else in. But the difference between not bringing the way Man United are trying to spin this is Manchester United are not looking. There's a difference between us not looking to do more business and us not completing more business. And I think they're the two fundamental. They are completely opposing processes. Essentially, United are working on these deals. The loan deal for Saul Niguez could work, as in the outlay is so low year one in comparison to signing a player that we could look to maybe afford it. The Paul Pogba situation isn't resolved. West Ham are highly likely to come in for Jesse Lingard towards the end of the window. They've been pushing it this late because they want to reduce the price as much as they can. As an example, there are very few others that are going to go, and which is frustrating, but it is the case. In terms of Saul Niguez, though, at Manchester United, I mean, people keep screaming CDM. Would I like a CDM? Yeah, I would, like a proper one. I'd love Ndidi. I'd love Declan Rice. But if you stuck Saul Niguez in a double pivot next to Fred or McTominay breaking up play and covering a back line, they're pretty good at that. What lets those two down is their passing ability on the ball. Matic is pretty good at shielding the back line in certain respects. His passing's amazing. But what lets him down is his lack of mobility. Saul Niguez, for me, on a year loan, would negate that problem because you could put him in that double pivot. Yes, are we going to be able to play 4-3-3 like lots of people want with a single pivot holding DM? I don't think that's Saul Niguez's game. He's played in that role. That's not his best role. However, as the box-to-box guy, as the not the creator in that role, but as the box-to-box midfielder, the central midfielder in the two of the double pivot, just leaving Scotty and leaving Fred to run around, break up play, make the interceptions, use, because one thing they do have that's very good is their mobility, their energy, their ability to close down and win balls back. That element's fine as far as I'm concerned for a year. So I look at the Niguez option as being plausible on a loan deal. The problem we've got is that Chelsea have just come in for him heavy and they're leading the race. So Man United are going to tell the media, no, salaries, wages, money, it's stopping us. That's the Fugazi part here for me. It's a convenient excuse. They actually would prefer fans to be angry over the money situation than they would for the fans to hear Chelsea beat us to the post. Because for whatever reason, fans handle that a lot worse. So for me, I think we're trying to get this deal done irrespective. I think we might accelerate our approach and maybe increase what we're offering if Paul Pogba was to leave, because Saul Niguez has always been someone that Man United have looked at. But you are right. We could also get to the end of this window and sign nobody. There's so many options available. But for me, this is why I love the transfer window. I love the kind of unknown element. I find it exciting in relation to that, mate. But Pav, great call as always, mate. I know you're off to bed soon. Thanks for supporting the channel.
No worries, man.
Great deal to me. Top man. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We have some interesting news here that I want to bring to you in relation to the Haaland situation. This information just put out a few moments ago by Christian Falk. We're going to take a look at this now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. Christian Falk here says, after Chelsea signed Lukaku, City want Kane, and Real Madrid goes for Mbappe, United is a serious option. Already to 2020, United offered Haaland more money than Dortmund. So a lot of people are suggesting here that Man United are an option for Haaland next year. A lot of things, stars aligning, seem to be the case with this potential deal for Manchester United. But still, 50 million euros a year is going to be very, very difficult for Manchester United to put together as well. Maybe next year it's easier for a club because they're not putting out 150 million pound on the transfer fee. He's only costing around 65 million pounds, which for a player of Haaland's quality is absolutely ridiculously cheap. But that's an interesting update from there. And I tell you what I did see as well. You want to see PR spin, ladies and gentlemen? Look at the state of this headline. Informal talks have been held with Houssem Aouar's representatives by Tottenham. That's by Tottenham, as you can see. What the informal talks? Informal talks. What? They bumped into them in the pub. Who is buying this bullshit anymore? Come on, football fans. That means you're trying to buy him. He may not be, you're trying to buy him. That's all we want to, they're in for him. Doesn't mean it will happen, but you're in for him. Come on, wake up, smell the informal talks. Informal talks in deadline week. Informal talks in deadline week. I can't. I'm losing my temper with this PR propaganda spin. We are not living in a communist society. We are not living in, I'm not going to name any countries because people get a bad regime. We ain't got the best regime, by the way, but at least we can say what we want. Like, this is nonsense. Informal talks. Informal talks, my left butt cheek. Informal, my ass. Informal. Casual, relaxed, easygoing, unofficial. Bollocks. 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 Big, fat, juicy, hairy ball bags. Big, fat, hairy, juicy ball bags. I can't, man. I can't. How we fans? Honestly, we should say to all the transfer experts, all the news outlets, if you say informal talks, if you say an unofficial bid via third parties and then say so it isn't real, that we should be blocking everyone out that pushes this nonsense. Spurs are trying to sign Houssem Aouar. Man United are trying to sign Niguez. Man United put an informal, unofficial offer in today for a player. Oh, so we bid then. Yes. Raw. Honestly, what is an informal talk? There isn't such thing as an informal talk. I spoke to a YouTuber yesterday. As the football terrace grows and things start to change, you know, we're working with a few people now. We're going to recruit at some point properly. So I did have informal talks. I went out for lunch, said I'd fancy a bit of food as friends. I wasn't going to be friends. I am his friend, but I wasn't going to be friends. I went to check where he's at, what he's up to, what his plans are. What's he doing throughout the course of the season? Could he be tempted away for some money? The answer is yes, he could be. It wasn't an informal talk. It wasn't an informal lunch. It was fucking calculated. Like, it was cool to see him, cool to have a beer, but it was calculated. I'm doing my research, bruv. There's no such thing as informal talks in the transfer market at this stage. If it was February the 10th, maybe. Because nothing can really accelerate at that point, generally speaking. There are some exceptions, Konate being one of them, buyout clauses being another. Informal, hairy ball bags, bruv. Hairy ball bags. Sal will be on the bench by Fred and McTominay under Ollie. That could also be very, very true. Also, we know how that works. We know how that one works there. Thank you very much, Todd, there for that super sticker. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much indeed. To someone just turning on, big fat juicy. I can't help it. I can't help it. Look, I've got the rage. I'm not even annoyed at the journalists. I'm annoyed at football fans. You're allowing this. This is on you. You are allowing this to happen. Oh no, we didn't bid because it was done via a third party. As I've said before, if I phone Anita today and say, Anita, can you tell KJ he's sacked? He's still been officially sacked, even though I could say, I didn't officially sack him. You know what I mean? KJ's not sacked, by the way. It's just, don't be so dumb, please. Terry, is this an informal super chat? Yes, relaxed. Because there's no real point to it. It's just a donation. Get your informal super chats in. Give us an informal phone call. Do you know what I mean? I dare one of you, honestly, please. Phone me up with a point, but get your dad to phone in so it comes through a third party so you can officially say that you didn't say it. Oh, my word. Honestly. Some people are dim. Honestly, bruv. Some people, when they were queuing up in God's house for their brains, they thought they were queuing up for a train and they asked for a slow-moving one. I tell you, bruv. I tell you. Fixer's on the show next to have his say. Smash the like and the share button, people. Fixer's on next. Oh, God. Welcome. What are you here to say, bro? What are you here to say?
Yo, man. How you doing, Terry, by the way? Hope
I'm very well, my brother. I'm very well. What's on your mind?
I hear you talking about not sacks and stuff, and it's like... But yeah. What I'm here to talk about is the transfer window with Manchester United. Now I've been hearing some rumors that Ronaldo wants to go to Manchester City, and I find that really, really offensive, man. It's like, what are you doing in CR7, man? Like, you have all the money in the world. Why do you want to go to our rivals? Why do you want to embarrass us? Because if you go to Manchester City, we're fucked. Like, we're screwed, man. Like, what's going on? Like, we need to find a way to stop that from happening if it's gonna happen. But also, I wanted to say is I don't think our transfer window has been that good. I don't personally think we have to sign Sancho. I think that was a bit of a luxury signing. We didn't really need to do that. We have so many other issues in our squad that we haven't sorted out. I mean, think about it, Terry, for a second. We signed Sancho, right? This is the second game running, and he hasn't even started. We're still playing Martial over him. It's like, you can't sign a player like that with a manager like Solskjaer, you know? You just can't, because he is the kind of manager who's so stubborn, and he's not going to learn from his mistakes, and he's going to keep playing the same old shit over and over again. I guarantee you now, mark my words here, Sancho is not going to be a main player for Manchester United this season. He's going to be a bench player the whole season. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be one of those ones where he comes in and he changes, our fortunes. It's not, because we can already see from the first two games that Solskjaer doesn't really, after going through all that stress to buy him, he's still playing Martial over him, and Martial is shit. So all I'm saying is, like, everybody needs to just fall back, because until we get rid of this flipping clown who's our manager, I don't think anything is going to change. We're just going to keep going through the same old shit. He has no sort of people keep saying he's a man manager. He's not. He doesn't even know how to manage dogs. I doubt he can manage men. The guy is shit.
You're being a bit over the top here. We're 2 games into the season, unbeaten. We've got Varane, Sancho, Rashford, and Cavani to reintegrate and bring into this team.
Rashford is injured, mate.
Yeah, but he's coming back in like a month. He'll be back in a month, mate.
In a month, it'll be too late. In a month, it'll be too late. We would have been so far behind. Remember last season, right? Remember last season, we messed up in the first month, and that was it. We could never catch up. Even though do
you know what I hear in your voice? Do you know what I hear in your voice? What I hear in your voice. What I hear in your voice is you're fearful that Ollie's going to do better than you want him to do. So you're like,
absolutely not. I'm sure he's not. I'm sure he's not.
No, you're not. You're scared here. You're scared that Ollie's going to prove you wrong. You're very scared.
I was an Ole in before. I can tell you now that he's not. He's shit. He's a shit man. I support Ole before. I'm telling you now, mark my words, he's shit manager. We're not doing anything with that guy in charge. Guaranteed.
Whoa. Listen, Fixer, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Viewers, do you agree with Fixer, or is he running a little bit scared? I don't know, I think Saul Niguez may play, but we don't even know. By the way, Sky have changed their headline. They changed their headline. I don't know how they changed that. They must have deleted a tweet and reposted it. They've changed it. Oh, they've changed it. Changes. Changes. The power of the football terrorists. No, it's not because of me. They don't know who I am. They don't know who I am, bro. They have no idea who I am. I bet that's not true. They all know who I am. I spoke to a really big YouTuber as well yesterday about coming on the football terrorist thing, and he really offended me. I told him as well. He said me, he's been watching my stuff for years. And I was like, where's the follow and the retweeting then, bruv? And the sharing. He went really quiet on the call. And then I was like, I'm only joking. I weren't really. Like, sometimes there's truth in jest. I was like, oh, you're watching for years. You never shared, you never retweeted, you never commented saying, bruv, great show. It's all right, though. He'll be on board soon. Football terrorist moving forward. Love it. Who's this? Who's hijacking my stream here? What is this?
All right, now I've just heard some absolute nonsense come out of Fixer's mouth, bro. Like, I was just chilling in bed.
Came on because I said you were sacked.
Oh no, it was all good. Like, you can't sack me, you. You're not Jess. You can't sack me, bro. Anyway,
yeah, true.
But anyway, yeah, Fixer's chatting some absolute nonsense, bro. He's just butthurt, yeah, that we didn't beat Southampton in the way that he wanted us to. That's all it is, bro. Like, Sancho's gonna be a bench player this season. Are you flipping joking? Oh, because Martial played one game, it's all now. Oh, that's it. It's over. In a month's time, that we have no chance to go and challenge for a title. Even though last season we was on top of the league in January after our bad start. Like, it makes no flipping sense. People are just so hyperbolic. So they're just, you know what? Yeah, screw it. I want to call it what it is. Football fans are crybabies, bro. They are children. We are children. When things don't go our way, we throw our toys at the pram. We start ranting and raving like we can do anything about it, bro. Like, relax, man. Like, Fixer, go and eat some food, bro. You're clearly starving. Go outside and touch grass. Go meet gal. Go do something. Meet friends, because you shouldn't be this upset over a 1-1 draw in the second game of the season, fam.
Bruv, you're so spot on with it. Like, I keep hearing people saying that all I heard, and this is where people kind of forget, there's receipts. When we grow the terrace, I'm going to start having a lot more stuff saved, more clips going out very, very soon. We've got to start saving these things, because I took unsurmountable amount of phone calls for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Right wing needs to be fixed. We fix it. Didn't need to do that. It needs to be a CDM. I almost feel like if we'd have fixed a CDM role and not the right wing, we'd be moaning about that. We're still, it's going to be okay. And we are, and I just, honestly, people are knocking me a little. I understand people don't have to like Ollie. I can get Ollie's criticism. But, I saw someone tweet something yesterday where they said, legit, bruv, they said, and I quote, I want to host a debate about Martial, but I'm not going to allow anybody to slag him off on the debate. This same guy slags off Rashford, slags off Ollie on a regular basis. And I'm like, that's the bait. That goes back to your point. Children. It's a childlike mentality towards things. It's just see how things, we're not in Arsenal's situation. We should have beaten. Like, we didn't not beat Southampton. We got overrun a bit in midfield because Mattis ain't got legs. The irony is all the people saying we need a CDM and that we don't need Sancho and we hate McFred, They're the ones calling for Matic to be in the team. He was the one that got overrun, right? The point is, so I don't really trust your football knowledge anyway. But at the same time, we didn't draw that game because of our midfield. Greenwood should have scored a header. Pogba had 2 or 3 chances cleared off lines. I still think he should have buried one. Lindelof should have put the ball into the back of the net. There's a very good save from a Bruno Fernandes header. We created proper match-winning chances in that game, and we didn't take them. You know, and that's why we lost. If Lindelof scores that header that he should have scored, and Greenwood scores a header that he should have scored, we win that game 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 maybe, and no one's moaning. The difference between us and Chelsea the other day was we weren't as clinical as them when our opportunities arose. And we've got 4 players still to return to this team. It's slow down with your like the Ollie out movement. People have they've shot their load too early, mate. Honestly, they've done a gym. They've done a gym from American Pie, and they've come in their pants.
No, legit. Like we lost. We didn't even lose the game. This is how mad it is. The way that we're talking on Twitter and social media, it sounds like we lost the game. We drew that game because we were the ones who allowed the game to get away from it. It's not like Southampton were infinitely better than us and they were outdoing us all over the pitch, and then boom, we were lucky to scrape a draw. We were complacent. And that's all it is. So listen, I don't care what people say in the comments about, oh, but I'm a fan, I can say you want. No, you can't. Shut your mouth.
No, I hear that. I've got some breaking news to bring everybody. Just sorry, very, very quickly. Let's do this. Saul Niguez, breaking news from Matt Law, but we need to apply some context to this. So there's an update here from the London Blue podcast where Matt Law says Saul Niguez has been offered to Man United. It is not true that Man United have moved ahead of Chelsea in the race to sign him, as per Terry Flewers yesterday, talking about myself in the third person just to wind up the haters. Neither team is ahead or behind the other. It's just a case of one of the two deciding to press the button. However, what's very, very important to remember, context, research. Click on Matt Law's profile, scroll down. Recorded slightly before the progression of West Ham and Zuma, the dinosaur chat is clearly in highlight. So this podcast was recorded before yesterday. So it was recorded a couple of days ago. The Chelsea Saul Niguez situation, he obviously hasn't mentioned Saul Niguez in this, but we know that West Ham and Zuma progressed yesterday. So things have changed. So I'm not saying that claim wasn't true when it was made, but this podcast was recorded at least 2 days ago. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying Matt Law it was wrong at that point, but Chelsea have progressed things in the last couple of days, as we know. So be very mindful when you listen to podcasts. A lot of them are recorded. And in the transfer window, we've recorded a few things before with Dean and with Pete. And literally by the next morning, half the stuff in it's out of date. So it's like, shouldn't have. So we stopped pre-recording them and we did them live because it moves too quickly in the transfer market. We're going to go to some more calls from some of you all. Now, we're going to keep KJ on. Sunshine's backstage. Sadhu's backstage. Russell, I think, is backstage as well. Every day he changes his username. Yeah, Russell's backstage as well. We have a super sticker or a super chat that's coming, I think. No, that was one from earlier. Done that already. Let's do this now, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to come on and have your say, the link is in the group chat. The group chat, it's also been posted and I think pinned to the live comment section as well, whichever you'd prefer to get it from. Go and get that done. Let's get the boys on now to have their say. Let's do this.
The big one.
How you doing? How you doing, Sunshine? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. So I was just at work, so on a little break with the kids and that, man. But I was listening on the way here, and I was just thinking about the Saul Niguez thing, and I thought it's just not going to work out, man. I don't think, because even if you come, for me, I don't think we'll get him playing as many games, because I just think, for me, Ollie loves or favours at this moment in time McTominay or Fred or a Matic. And pick one of those. I just don't think Saul, next to any one of those, is going to do a good job, in my opinion. I mean, I think of the abilities that Saul Niguez has, and they're very similar, not the same, but very similar to a Van der Beek in terms of what he could offer, in terms of the balance, in terms of the ball retention, in terms of progression of the ball in that area, and he's not being used. So my fear, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, bloody hell I do, but if we were to get him, my fear would be that he would just get treated the same way as Van der Beek got treated. And with respect to Saul Niguez, I look at him going, well, you know, Tuchel at Chelsea is doing really well. You know, where would you prefer to play football? Now, I don't know the guy, and he may just love Man United, so we just don't know. So I can't make, you know what I mean, them kind of statements to say that that's his thinking, his thought process. But for me, bro, I can't see the guy playing often enough, consistently enough in a pairing or a partnership, because for me, Freddie McTominay just seems to be his go-to. Donny van de Beek smashed pre-season, in my opinion, and I think we all appreciated what we saw with him and Matic at the back line. We controlled the game for much longer when he was on. We were more sustainable in terms of retaining the ball, moving the ball well in and out of the pressure situations. And the guy's just not getting no minutes, so I don't see Saul coming through and not being treated the same way Donny is. Again, I hope I'm wrong if we were to get him, but I just don't see it, bro.
You're Najee, my guy.
Yes, KJ,
I
what?
understand the thought process. You good, yeah?
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. You?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, I understand.
Good man.
So I understand the thought process, but at the same time, I feel like we are drawing conclusions off one sample size. You gotta also remember that Saul is older than Donny van de Beek. He is actually more experienced, as much as you can say, but Donny's plays how many games for Ajax. Saul is more experienced at the highest level than Donny van de Beek. So there are more reasons for why an Ollie would play Saul more than Van de Beek. And I feel like just because we're all so attached to Van de Beek and we want him to play and things aren't going well, we're now just starting to apply, like what Fixer did earlier, apply one example and make it the rule for everyone, which is not the case. Like legit, Sancho not starting the first few games isn't a sign of his being benched for the whole season. It's just taking time for him to get in. Of course.
Sancho for me, KJ, is completely different situation.
Yeah,
and it is. But for me, Donny van de Beek's been here. I look at consistency. What happens consistently? For a whole year, Donny's been shafted for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Whether you think it's right or wrong, he's been shafted. He's played less minutes than we all know he deserves, and that's that. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
In pre-season, he has by far looked the more fitter, the more, you know, in my opinion, the better suitor for that pivot role. That's my opinion based on how I prefer football being played. But watching Manchester United with a Donny there, it looked good. So for me, I don't see any reason why an injured McTominay or a potential transfer listed Lingard, if we can call it that, is getting on the pitch ahead of him when we're trying to chase a game. I agree. So for me, like, I know it's a new season. I appreciate it's a new season. But if I'm seeing consistent choices happen that happened last season and is now happening within the first two games, for me, I just don't feel Donny's going to get a fair shot this season. And I think that would be the same for any new player.
I feel like, do you know what, gents? We're going to go to Sadhu in a moment. I kind of feel like I get the point, and Donny may not get a fair cut of the, an opportunity as people are like want him to get, and I understand that. At the same time, I wouldn't necessarily, a bit to KJ's point, apply that logic to if Sal comes. It doesn't mean Sal isn't going to get that rub of the green. I don't think it's too deep with Donny. And I remember when Jose Mourinho wasn't, and that Jose left under a cloud, but when Jose wasn't playing Mkhitaryan regularly, we had the same criticism. Why? What he did in Germany, what we all loved about him. And then he left. And then, of course, his debut for Arsenal, I swear he got a hat-trick of assists, and everyone was like, oh my God, see, Jose was killing him. And where is he now? What is he doing? I'm not saying Donny van de Beek is technically a brilliant football player, but I have seen players come to the Prem before and just not be able to, they look tidy on the ball, but not cut it. My view is I'm looking at that as an isolated situation. I don't think, I saw people the other day make claims that that Donny's being bullied, that the treatment of Donny by Ollie is worse than the way that Jose was treating the likes of Anthony Martial and Paul Pogba. It's become very nasty. And I just sort of look at it along the lines of, I think there's a footballing reason. I don't know what that footballing reason is because Ollie's never going to put it out there. But I would almost like to see Donny van de Beek leave and join another Premier League team as an acid test. If it wasn't for the fact that we could bite us in the backside, I would love to see him do it and to see whether or not he's treated that way. I would look at Luke Shaw in the same way. So again, I go back to Jose. When Jose was criticizing his fitness, the world was like, how dare you speak about somebody's weight? I'm like, but every manager Luke Shaw has had has criticized his fitness and his lifestyle and his ability to keep his weight down his whole career. He's youth coach at Southampton. He's Southampton managers. You know what I mean? 2 of his Man United managers, the England manager at a time has done it. So there comes a point where if that pattern emerges with 2 or 3 different managers, there is a slight issue. Now, I'm not putting that kind of scrutiny on Donny. I want to see him play. But him not playing, I just think there's a footballing reason behind it. But so equally, I don't necessarily, if Saul Niguez comes in and takes to the Man United way under Ollie like a duck to water, I think he'll play because he's much better than I actually think Saul Niguez is better than Donny van der Beek in that deeper role. Maybe not when you're playing in and around the edge of the box. Donny is absolutely brilliant at that. And that's the bigger problem. I don't think Donny is in the Prem a holding midfield player or a sitting midfielder or a central midfielder. I think he's more of a, I don't want to call him a 10 because people get really panicky, more of an advanced midfielder just to get him more generic. The problem is he can't get in the team over Pogba or Bruno in those roles because they are both superior to him. So I sometimes feel a little like he's between a rock and a hard place, you know?
And also his agents came out I think yesterday or recently, and I've seen the quotes, and he's basically saying that we obviously don't want to see a repeat of last season and we would like to have more game time, but we are happy that Solskjaer has come out, spoke about Donny's importance, and they're happy with that, and they're going to move forward with that. So if agents speak for the player like it does apparently Marino Viola does for Pogba, why aren't these agent quotes being used to say that actually, no, Donny's okay with this and Donny's fine and Donny's legit trying to work hard to get back into the team? And he knows this. Like, he wouldn't have joined Man United if he didn't know.
Look, on the Donny thing, like I feel like I said at the beginning of the season, I didn't expect to see him much before the League Cup and Champions League start. In fact, I don't think we're going to see much of any of our second string outside of the main 12, 13 players used in the opening stages because there's one game a week. And I think that we're just going to have to be a little bit patient. I mean, I'd love to have seen him come on against Southampton. Personally, I would. But we'll see. Sadhu's here with us as well. What are you saying, mate?
Morning, Terry.
Morning, mate. What do you want to say, bro?
Just about Van der Beek, it's just when Fred came in as well, when Jose brought Fred in, he hardly played first season. And slowly by slowly came into the actual squad. And I think it would be the same with Van der Beek as well. Like you said, Carabao Cups, FA Cups, I think that's where he'll actually start kicking in, start getting into the team, slowly by slowly. And I think he will get more game time than last season.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does as well. You know, I'd love to see him work at Man United. I don't like to see any of our players fail or whatever. You always want to see them work out because you don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of having to buy somebody else and sell someone. It's just it takes up a lot of time. We're gonna add David to the show this morning. David, welcome, mate. What you saying? No one with their cameras on this morning. Love
Morning
it.
Time. That's why everyone's hella crusty, bro.
I just woke up.
What, at 10 o'clock? Man's been up since 6, bro. Come on. Get up. Be productive. What you saying, David?
I'm good. Kurt Zuma looks like he's on his way, so it looks like Kounde's going to come in. Saul potentially. I don't really know what Saul does, but I've heard he's good, so I'm trusting those people. Yeah, it looks like a decent window for us, and it's like we're improving in the areas that I think we do need to improve in. If I was being really like finicky about it, I'd get another advanced midfielder, but that's just my personal opinion. It's not like an absolute must, but it's brilliant depth now in every position, which is a really good thing to see in the squad.
No, you're absolutely right. Sadhu, thanks very much, mate, for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro, and all your support with the Terrace. Thank you. Russell's here with us now as well. Russell's a Man United fan. What do you want to say, Russ?
I just want to say on the Saul Niguez and the Donny van der Beek conversation, and I totally see it a paradoxical way. I see it as, first of all, Donny van der Beek, I feel we're putting so much pressure on him by just calling for him to start every game. It puts so much pressure on him to perform in those games that he starts in. And I don't get why the fans are acting like Donny van der Beek has proved something on the pitch to suggest that he should warrant a start. You know, as much as we hate Fred and McTominay, they were a major part of a team that finished second last season. And Fred, people talk about him. Why did he start? Why he wasn't fit, all this stuff. This guy I'm sure he was part of the Brazil team that reached the Copa final, you know, in South America. He was fit, you know. It's not like Oli just pulled Fred out of the beach in Brazil and said, "Hey, come play a game against Leeds." No, that's not what happened. There's justifications for all his choices. And the funny thing, the way I look at it with the Saul Niguez thing is, if anything, I see Saul Niguez as probably the midfielder who would come and actually release Donny van de Beek. But what I mean by that is Donny is not a water carrier. He's a ball player. He's technical. He needs someone like Saul Niguez behind him who's more intelligent, more experienced. He just won the league in Spain. If anything, all these fans saying, "Oh, Saul Niguez, that's the end of Donny," I'm sure Oli will sit them down. You probably see a Saul Niguez, Donny van de Beek midfield with McTominay now being a choice off the bench, because I feel Donny's a good player, but he hasn't shown me anything every time he came on the pitch to say, "Oh yeah, he definitely should start." I'm just being honest. I like him, but he hasn't shown me anything at United.
Interesting take there. I mean, Sunshine, do you agree with that? I mean, do you feel like have you seen something from him when he comes on that means he should get more of an opportunity, in your opinion?
Of course I have. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I'm not saying the gentleman's ridiculous, but I think the opinion that he hasn't shown anything when he's been given the chance is ridiculous. You look at our midfield, we are crying out for ball retention. We are crying out for the ball to be held and to be moved forward with progression of play. And Fred and McTominay just don't do it. You mentioned it yourself earlier, Terry, saying that they struggle to pass the ball. And a lot of people, I'm not having this rubbish where people saying, "Oh, Van der Beek hasn't got the energy," just to fulfill the idea that McTominay should start over him. He has mad energy. His work rate is incredible. His inceptions are even better. His ability to read the game defensively and be in the right positions. I mean, he's not letting people run off too many times. Is so what's needed. Now, he's not a DM. I agree he's not a DM. But if you're going to play Fred and McTominay, even when they have not been on par, even when they haven't been at their greatest, and they still get into the pitch, the guy come on injured. We found out that McTominay was injured, Terry, man. McTominay was injured and he still got in. That's got nothing to do with ability. You can't tell me an injured McTominay, he's not even going to the Scotland team no more, where he even plays centre-back, for crying out loud, not even in midfield. You can't tell me that McTominay gets in over that Van der Beek. I don't see it. And I feel like because Ollie's been so used to doing, leaving Donny van der Beek out of teams and stuff, it's become the norm. So people are like now finding legit excuses for it. When I look at us play football, I don't see us hold the ball very well in midfield. The progression of the ball from midfield all the way forward, it's just not there consistently. And that for me is going to be one of the biggest issues I see in this season, because we don't dominate teams. If you have a Van der Beek in that team, you dominate for longer periods of time. That's my opinion, of course. You may differ, but that's just how I see Van der Beek in terms of what he could bring to this team and what he has brought to this team, especially in pre-season.
Yeah, I think the main issue is, wrongly or rightly, I think Ollie generally just sees him as Bruno's backup. And that's why he probably won't get in over McTominay and Fred, because he sees him as, oh, if Bruno's injured, if I want to rest Bruno, I will play Van der Beek, and that's where I play him. And I personally don't agree with that. I believe Donny is good enough to play anywhere in the midfield, even off the left or off the right. I've seen the qualities that he can bring, but I feel like it's not a thing where people are saying like Ollie thinks McTominay and Fred are better than Van der Beek. I genuinely don't think he feels like they're better. I personally just feel like he sees him as he is a number 10, he is a Bruno cover, and that's when I play him. And I personally don't feel that's the right choice. But yeah, like Donny van der Beek can be useful.
But KJ, in pre-season, he didn't even play in the 10 role. He played next to Matic in the pivot against Everton, especially. He had an amazing game. So if he thought he was a 10 in pre-season, he will play 10.
You're not going to use pre-season as a real tester, are you? Playing pre-season games and playing Premier League actual games and points on the line are completely different.
So, like, we are coming towards the end now. What I would say is this: I want to see him given these opportunities in some games, and then it's about what you do. And it could be a League Cup game where he gets his first start, whether he plays in a more advanced role or in a deeper midfield role. One thing I saw a moment. I agree with Russell to the point where I saw moments from him last year. But in a lot of the games where he didn't start a lot of games, but in a lot of the games where he did start, I didn't see as much of an impact as I wanted. So I would like to see him get a few more starts this year, but I want to see him grab a game by the scruff of the neck in terms of be that player that we know he can be. make a stand, make a claim to be kept into the side. It's like every time Matic comes back in, he doesn't do anything that makes me want him to stay in there. Like, I know he's technically better on the ball than Scott McTominay, but he gets run through, and it's like, I'd rather Scott McTominay because there's a bit more strength in that midfield. I want to see Donny come in, and he isn't going to be as strong or as mobile as Fred or as Scott McTominay. So he needs to ball out. His ball playing ability and his intelligence needs to be so good that there is no need to put anybody else through. David, question for you. What do you think of the Haaland news in relation to salary?
I can see why Chelsea didn't go for it now. I thought he was offering, what was it? At the time, it was being reported like 400k a week. I didn't think that was too bad. But 900 grand a week, yeah, jog on, mate. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's just not worth it at that price.
Well, if you go back to the stream that me and Jem did when we were in Stratford all those weeks ago, and it was basically put down to, it was all in Chelsea's hands. It was in Chelsea's hands. And this is where football fans, again, need to stop being sensitive. Chelsea didn't sign Haaland because they chose not to sign him. It was in your hands. But in your hands meant giving him 900 grand or 900 euros a week, 900,000 euros a week. And it's a case of the knock-on effects of that were going to be too much. What's going to be interesting next summer, like right now, most reports from Germany and England are sort of suggesting that Man United are now the front runners. A lot of that's by default with what everybody else is kind of. It's one of the reasons why I wouldn't actually be that mad if Man City signed Ronaldo, because he's going on a 2-year deal on big money. It could stop them from getting Haaland. Yeah. Like, there's this part of me that's sort of like, you know,
Mbappe. Call it though.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, I'd like to see, you know, Real Madrid get Mbappe. I'd like to see all the teams kind of sign someone to reduce, because I'd love to get Haaland next year. However, I don't know if I want him on 800 grand a week, because that's just, I don't know, like what you've got to deliver. I mean, it's one of those things, though. If you pay him 800 grand, say, what's 900 grand a week in pounds? Like 700 grand or something? Like, if you're paying him that much money and he scores 50 goals a season, all comps, and you're winning everything, no one's going to care. It's if he comes in on that money and we're finishing fourth and we're still playing McFred, that's when I panic, man. That's when it's like, I can't believe it. You can.
If he was to have those, oh, sorry, bro. Go on, read your chat.
Go on, bro. No, go on, mate. Go on.
No, I was just about to say, like, if he was to have a bit of clause in his contract that stated that, you know, we must win the Premier League with you scoring 30 goals a season, or we must get to here and here. And if you don't, you'll lose 100k up to about 300k. Then obviously I'd take that contract, because then it's like, well, you're still going to have to earn that 700k ultimately. And if you don't perform up to that level, then
yeah,
cool. Well, that's not going to happen, though. Let's be honest.
No, I mean, what they could look to do, and it depends on what everybody else is willing to offer. What can happen is like we'll pay you 400 grand base, and the rest of it is performance related. So goals, braces, hat tricks, us winning games. And then some of it is bonus based, which is if we like Champions League qualification and you break it down to weekly, so it's easy to understand. If we qualify for the Champions League, your bonus will be the equivalent of an extra 100 grand a week. So we'll give you, 5 million quid. If we win the league, it's another 100 grand a week. So it's another 5 million. You could that, in fairness, that's how a lot of salaries are actually done. When I've read the contracts of players that are on 300 grand a week, it often isn't 300 grand as a flat base. It's more a case of being broken up into different incentives and everything else. Plus, you've got image rights. That will probably include image rights as well. So what you see a lot of the time reported, you'll see, Pogba wants 400 grand a week. Yeah, that includes his image rights, which are not the same as wages. So they're paid under a completely different structure. A lot of the time, journalists just amalgamate them into one. So they are different. I'd love to see the breakdown of a contract for someone like him.
Say, Terry, on
final point, mate. Final point.
The way I look at it, Man United have set the bar in terms of in relation to United, and if United were in for Haaland at that salary. Man United have set the bar. You've got Phil Jones earning about 150. Haaland is 6 times or even 10 times the player that Phil Jones is. If he wants 800 grand, give him. People don't complain about Phil Jones. I don't care if Haaland gets the 800 grand. I'm a fan. I want to see him in the United shirt.
I do agree with you, but it's not about him being paid that. It's the same as Chelsea. You have to look at the knock-on effects. So let's say he comes in on 800 grand a week and he kills it, and we win the league and we win the Champions League. The next year we win the league. When Marcus Rashford, when Paul Pogba would probably already done, if he's still here, his new deal's done. But when Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes and Raphael Varane and Maguire and Wan-Bissaka and Shaw and all the other players are also contributing, knock on the door for their pay rises, it causes a problem. I know he wasn't delivering, so it pained us more. But because of the Alexis Sanchez deal, it meant all other players' pay rises increased when they all did their new deals. That gave us this skyrocketing wage bill, which is the reason why we're struggling to get rid of players right now. You have to be very mindful when you set that precedent when it comes to the it isn't just paying for that player, it's the longer term effects. And then suddenly you renew a Luke Shaw onto 300 grand a week because in the structure of your club, you've got no choice to because of what other people are being paid. And then he falls off the edge of a cliff. The man boobs come back and he's got 3 years left on his contract and you can't get rid of him. That's what you have to guard against. That's the only element that makes me worried. It's if it doesn't work out. If we're winning Premier Leagues and titles, nobody's going to care. Like legit, no one cares. And if Man United in this era of social media start winning things again, our sponsorship deals are going to be absolutely off the chart. So suddenly you can afford these things again. But look, do I want Haaland at Man United? Every single day. Look, I love Cristiano. I love Harry Kane. I love Lewandowski. But you want Haaland. He's the guy for the next 10 years, not the next 10 minutes. And look, if we get him next year with this squad, even with Ollie, like I mean, if we had Haaland this season, I'd be confident of winning the league even with Ollie because he's going to score that many goals. And look, we saw Fergie do it once. Now, Fergie's the greatest manager of all time. I remember that season with the Aguero goal. Oh, we need to improve midfield. We need to improve defense. And we did need to improve all those areas, as we saw with David Moyes. But we just went and bought a prolific goal scorer, scored us an extra 15 goals a season, and we won the league. Like, sometimes goal scorers can do that. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Thanks to all my panelists, all my callers, all my super chatters today. We're back later on today. Jules Kounde news pending. Chelsea fans, get your little selves excited. Jules is on his way. The crown jewels is coming. That announcement could be later today. Plus, we've got the Bet Victor show back tonight at 7 p.m. We're previewing Man City versus Arsenal. We're previewing Chelsea versus Liverpool. We're taking a look back at last week's action. So make sure you stay with the Football Terrace today. Big show tonight. Anita's on. Jess is on. We're actually going to add a little bit of spice to this. Hussam is going to be on, Liverpool fan who thinks that he thinks Van Dijk is pocketing Lukaku this weekend. So 7 p.m. tonight. Make sure you and your little heads are tuned into the Football Terrace. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And remember, stop reading the sweaty ball sack nonsense PR from the media. Informal talks.